knows what the United States did to Venezuela is an act of war, it's an act of aggression, it's a serious violation of international law, and a complete violation of the United Nations Charter.
This morning, dozens of people are presumed dead after a fire ripped through a crowded bar in Switzerland. It happened overnight during a New Year's celebration at a luxury ski resort.
Digital identity is not just a passport that you will have on your iPhone in a digital form. It entails just about everything the government would like to know about you.
Remember that toxic people always laugh and love when we react.
Toxic people always laugh and love when we react.
Welcome to the sacrificed.
We begin this hour with a look at how the world rang in the first day of 2026. One of the first cities to welcome in the new year was Auckland, New Zealand. The famous Sky Tower there lighting up with pyrotechnics to signal the start of the new year around the world. And then less than 2 hours later, an impressive display in Sydney, Australia. Fireworks lighting up the famous Opera House in Sydney Harbour. In Dubai, drones in the sky, lighting up a countdown to the new year with this breathtaking display on the city's iconic skyscraper, along with impressive fireworks and a water show. And across the pond in London, 100,000 people braved the freezing temperatures and gathered along the River Thames to hear Big Ben strike midnight, starting a light show right above the London Eye. And here in New York, nearly 1 million people from all over the world packed into Times Square to ring in the new year and watch the ball drop. This year, revelers were treated to a second celebration just 4 minutes after midnight. And it wasn't just fireworks last night. Zohran Mamdani is officially the new mayor of New York City. New York Attorney General Letitia James swore in Mamdani at the Old City Hall subway station.
To some of the other stories that we're working on here today for the Now. Many of you may have seen this article. It's been trending on our website for about 2 days now. And if you're looking for thrills and chills, you need to look no further than Satan's Hollow is what it's called, and it's in Blue Ash. Now, we told you all about it. You may have recognized the phrase, the portal to hell. Well, our website posted this. It went viral, and the Now's Allie Kramer looked into it. Allie, what'd you find when you checked it out?
Well, Julie, it certainly is a creepy place. At this time of year, Blue Ash is swirling with rumors about Satan's Hollow. Oh, this is a picture of the entrance. You can see it's really just a storm drain with some graffiti on it, but it's what people think happened inside there that has them talking.
For 27 months, Las Vegas was UFO Central. A secret program known as OSAP was created back in 2008 with support from Nevada Senator Harry Reid, and actually became the largest UFO investigation ever undertaken by the U.S. government, at least as far as we know.
But the investigators for the program, all of whom had top security clearances, encountered things that were far stranger than UFOs, phenomena that could be accurately described as paranormal.
That's when I received a full download about OSAP that stunned me. What they found in this sprawling UFO investigation is that these unknown craft, whatever they are, seem to generate spooky phenomena that seemingly shouldn't exist.
I've heard there's blood on the walls.
Rick Fenbers is a thrill seeker looking for the creepiest place in Cincinnati.
First time I went to Satan's Hollow, me and my brother-in-law Ray, we went looking for it.
And just 4 years ago, he says he found it here, nestled deep in the woods in Blue Ash. The decrepit storm drain has a rich history, an urban legend of sorts.
It was a creepy place. Took a couple steps inside and our imagination playing tricks on us. It's dark, there's echoes coming out of there. We didn't want to go any further. You know, don't know what's in there.
Perhaps it's because Fenbers knows the legend, knows what supposedly happened inside decades ago.
Some time ago, Satanists used it as their meeting place. They would hold masses, have sacrifices there.
The narrow tunnels stretch several football fields, best illustrated by this hand-drawn map.
There is supposedly at the end of one of the tunnels an altar room, supposedly where the Satanists actually had their sacrifices.
Satanic graffiti is scrawled on the walls. If we've got your attention, there's some bad news. The portal to hell is on private property and isn't open to the public. Blue Ash police say they are always chasing off teens that find a way to get to it. But if you're a true believer, it isn't just the cops keeping visitors away.
And allegedly they managed to actually open the door to hell and summon a demon that I guess hangs out there now and protects it for them.
They managed to actually open the door to hell and summon a demon that I guess hangs out there now and protects it for them. Demon that I guess hangs out there now and protects it for them.
The strikes took place, ordered by US President Trump in the very early hours of the morning local time. Round about 2 o'clock or so, 7 explosions were heard. It was reported that they had struck key military facilities and military installations, and we now know that one of America's most elite army units, the Delta Force, has gone in to be involved in the capture of the dictator Maduro and his wife.
Nicolas Maduro had his chance, just like Iran had their chance. Until they didn't, and until he didn't. He effed around, and he found out.
Amor. Ay, no.
Those loud blasts could be heard for miles, and the gigantic fireballs lit up the night sky in the Venezuelan capital of Caracas overnight. You see the helicopters in the sky there. President Trump called this overnight operation a large-scale strike. The capture of both Maduro and his wife were carried out by the Army's Delta Forces, an elite special operations group, only after the CIA had identified Maduro's exact location. The couple will be flown to New York today, where they face multiple federal charges, including narco-terrorism.
So was this operation a message that you're sending to Mexico, to Claudia Sheinbaum, the president there?
Well, it wasn't meant to be, and we're very friendly with her. She's a good woman, but the cartels are running Mexico. She's not running Mexico. The cartels are running Mexico. And we could be politically correct and be nice and say, oh, yes, she is. No, she's very, she's very frightened of the cartels. They're running Mexico. And I've asked her numerous times, would you like us to take out the cartels? No, Mr. President. No, please. So we have to do something because we lost. The real number is 300,000 people, in my opinion. They like to say 100,000.
Y el gobierno de Estados Unidos lo sabe porque se lo hemos dicho a muchos de sus voceros que si quieren conversar seriamente de un acuerdo de combate contra el narcotráfico, estamos listos. Que si quieren petróleo de Venezuela, está lista Venezuela para inversión estadounidense como con Chevron. Cuando quieran, donde quiera y como quieran. Lo que yo sí te puedo decir que el sistema defensivo nacional que combina la fuerza popular, militar, policial, ha garantizado y garantiza la integridad territorial, la paz del país y el uso y disfrute de todos nuestros territorios. Y nuestro pueblo está seguro y en paz. Bienvenidos.
You see, MAGA, the problem is you don't fucking get it. So let me help you. You think that this invasion, which is exactly what the fuck it is going to make America great again and make the gas here cheaper and everything else. Gee, doesn't that sound fucking familiar? I'm pretty sure we were told the same fucking thing after the first war of choice in this century, Iraq, in 2003, when we invaded that sovereign nation, and it was supposedly over oil, when, let's see, our armed forces and a bunch of scientists and engineers, yeah, they didn't secure the goddamn oil fields. Where did they go? Elsewhere in the country. Where exactly? You really don't want me talking about that. But it certainly wasn't about the oil. And hundreds of thousands of Iraqi citizens, civilians, paid for that in blood. As did thousands of soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines, and coasties paid for it. Space Force wasn't around back then, you see. I know. Because I've buried a few. Some passed away right in my arms. Where the fuck were the oil barons then? Huh? Some of you are so fucking jaded to the point to where you don't fucking even listen to your king's fucking address. When that motherfucker went on TV this morning and he said, yeah, we're going to send the oil barons over there and to Venezuela and they're going to make billions of dollars for themselves. For themselves. 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 What part of you did you hear in that sentence?
Yeah, guys, at some point, Congress has to wake the fuck up and start articles of impeachment because this is just getting ridiculous. We're gonna play a game called Follow the Money, and we're gonna start back in January. January 2025, when Boeing announces that they are going to give $1 million to Trump's inaugural fund. Around April, we start having the tariff battle and we start having the trade wars, and Trump begins to start using companies that he shows favoritism to as part of these deals, and one of them is Boeing, and as a result of Boeing being awarded a certain number of government contracts, they get upgraded and they are up 64% from an April low, and they are upgraded as a buy because they are part of Trump's game piece. And in July, this continues because Boeing is continually given more contracts from other countries as part of these trade wars. We're gonna fast forward to today when Trump met with Netanyahu, and here is the result of that meeting. Just a couple hours ago, the Pentagon announces an $8.6 billion Boeing contract for F-15 jets to be sold to Israel. Now, before you jump on this train of saying this is just him being a fantastic business person and he is now creating more jobs and more opportunities and more investment in the United States of America with Boeing as an American company, you need to hold on for a second. And here is why. Because in August of this year, Trump bought between $1 to $5 million worth of Boeing bonds. And then in September, he bought more bonds. The President of the United States is investing in companies and then is securing deals for them that is surely going to make their stock price go even higher because right now they are projected to hit a 275 mark. We have never seen this level of a president abusing his power for his own financial gain. I don't know, you guys. The last time that I checked, I don't recall middle-class Americans having $5 million in bonds and then being able to secure an $8.6 billion deal that is surely going to jack up their valuation. Wake the fuck up, America.
For the first time in history, foreign policy has become global. Communications are instantaneous. And there exist problems which are genuinely not national, like environment, nuclear proliferation, and similar issues. So in this sense, we are living in a new world, and a new world order will emerge. The only question is whether it will arise out of intellectual and moral insight and by design, or whether it will be forced on mankind by a series of catastrophes. That's the challenge of our period. And it makes it, to my mind, one of the most exciting periods in which anybody can live.
The digital identity is not just a passport that you will have on your iPhone in a digital form. It entails just about everything the government would like to know about you. The best way to get to a modern person's heart is to say that it's convenient for them. So yes, you won't have to carry all your different papers and your passports, but the downside of it is, and I hope that people will start to see this, that the government can shut you down. So you know, if you want to buy a burger, red screen, no mark, not for you. That flight, not for you. Oh, but you can just buy it if you have enough money, right? So they're being very open and honest to what their goal is here. So we should take their words seriously and say, hell no. I would say we should cancel these communists immediately and say, get the hell out of my private life. I'm not having you track me and decide what I eat and where I go.
That is why I believe we must push forward the principle of pseudonymity as the functioning element of social media, and force all these platforms to link every user account to an European digital identity wallet. This way, citizens could use nicknames if they want, but in the case of a crime, public authorities would be able to connect those nicknames to real people and hold them responsible. Because accountability is not an obstacle to freedom of speech. It is an essential complement to it.
And finally, it takes resilience. As technology evolves, we need to build up societal immunity around information manipulation. Because research has shown that pre-bunking is much more successful than debunking. Pre-bunking is basically the opposite of debunking. In short, prevention is preferable to cure. Perhaps if you think of information manipulation as a virus, instead of treating an infection once it has taken hold, that is debunking. It is much better to vaccinate so that the body is inoculated. Pre-bunking is the same approach. Because disinformation relies on people passing it on to others. It is essential that people know what malign information's influence is and what the techniques are that are behind it.
California's Clone Robotics has just posted a video of its full-body protoclone humanoid robot, and well, it's a wee bit creepy. The prototype's less disturbing clone descendants, however, could one day be vacuuming our carpets. We first heard about Clone Robotics 3 years ago, when the company debuted its clone hand. Like the production model clone robot that the hand will be a part of, the device was designed to closely mimic the form and function of the human body. This makes sense, given the fact that the clone is designed to perform household chores such as doing laundry, washing dishes, preparing simple meals and yes, vacuuming carpets. All of these tasks involve utilizing tools that are optimized for use by humans, so a human-like robot could very well be the best way to go. Plans call for the clone to have a full polymer skeleton consisting of all 206 bones in the human body, but with a smaller number of bone fusions. All of the joints are fully articulated. The robot's limbs are moved via the company's myofiber artificial muscle technology, which has already been showcased in the clone hand and in the clone torso. As is the case with the human musculoskeletal system, this setup incorporates muscles that are anchored to the bones via tendons. In the myofiber system, which was inspired by the McKibben muscle concept, each muscle essentially takes the form of a mesh tube with a balloon inside of it. That balloon expands radially as fluid is pumped into it, forcing the mesh to contract longitudinally. A 500-watt electric pump is the clone's version of a human heart, pumping hydraulic fluid at a 40 SLPM volumetric flow rate and a 100 psi rating. The clone also has its own nervous system, which will ultimately consist of 4 depth cameras in the skull for vision, 70 inertial sensors for awareness of joint positions, and 320 pressure sensors for muscle level force feedback. This setup will allow the robot to instantaneously react to visual feedback and to learn tasks simply by watching its user perform them. As can be seen, the robot isn't looking like it's ready to vacuum carpets just yet, but its human-like movements are impressive nonetheless. The protoclone boasts over 1,000 myofibers, over 200 sensors, and over a total of 200 degrees of freedom. Clone Robotics plans on starting production with a limited run batch of 279 robots, which will be known as Clone Alpha. Pre-orders should commence later this year, and we're still waiting to hear about pricing.
We've got some breaking news to bring you out of Europe this morning. Dozens of people are presumed dead after a fire ripped through a crowded bar in Switzerland. It happened overnight during a New Year's celebration at a luxury ski resort. The cause of the fire still needs to be determined, but police say they have ruled out an attack. NBC News correspondent Danielle Hamamdjian has the very latest.
Well, this is still very much a developing story, and we are learning more by the hour. What happened exactly in this popular bar in the southwestern Swiss city of Crans-Montana, a popular bar called Le Constellation. Authorities are saying dozens are feared dead, though we don't yet have an official number. 100 or so are injured, and the vast majority, officials say, have suffered serious injuries. Now, the cause of the fire is still unknown, though for now, authorities do not believe this was a case of arson. They say this was an accident. Whether pyrotechnics had anything to do with it is still unclear. It is a popular bar amongst young people who would have come here to watch sporting events, despite this being an upscale ski resort. And it is a confined space, so you can just imagine what the scene would have been like as the fire broke out and people would have been trying to escape. There is going to be an extensive identification process given the severity of the injuries. There would have been lots of tourists, of course. Just on the other side of the nearest borders, you've got France and Italy. Lots of people, of course, on their Christmas holidays. There were so many injured that local hospitals were overwhelmed. Many had to be taken to other hospitals across the country in Lausanne, Zurich, Geneva. At the scene right now are forensic investigators who are trying to piece together the events of last night that led to this tragedy as people were ringing in the new year.
We repeat that statement. Today is going to be my peaceful day, and we live mindfully throughout the day. We will have a peaceful life. And stop doing multitask. Just one thing at a time, then we change our life. Do not let anybody to ruin our day and our life. Okay? Remember that toxic people always laugh and love when we react. The more we react, the more happy they are. So don't be a victim of them. Okay? Nobody can mess our days up except us. It's been too long that we've been sleeping for too long already. Now it's time to wake up. Don't let anybody control us. And we can't control ourselves either.
We have a very sick neighbor. It's not a neighbor, but it's close to a neighbor. And that's Venezuela. It's very sick. Colombia is very sick, too, run by a sick man who likes making cocaine and selling it to the United States. And he's not going to be doing it very long, let me tell you. He's not doing it very long. He has cocaine mills and cocaine factories. He's not going to be doing it very long.
So there will be an operation by the U.S. and
it sounds good to me. Yeah. You know why? Because they kill a lot of people. Cuba is ready to fall. You know? Yes. Cuba looks like it's ready to fall. I don't know if they're going to hold out. But Cuba now has no income. They got all of their income from Venezuela, from the Venezuelan oil. They're not getting any of it. And Cuba literally is ready to fall. And you have a lot of great Cuban Americans that are going to be very happy about this. It's about peace on earth.
How is it peace on earth?
Peace on earth. We gotta have peace. It's our hemisphere. The Monroe Doctrine was very important when it was done, and other presidents, a lot of them, they lost sight of it. I didn't lose sight. But it really is, it's peace on earth. Thank you very much.
Could have done it. And as to this commander-in-chief, he did something people talked about doing. You just wait for Cuba. Cuba is a communist dictatorship that's killed priests and nuns. They've preyed on their own people. Their days are numbered. We're going to wake up one day, I hope in 26, in our backyard, we're going to have allies in these countries doing business with America, not narco-terrorist dictators killing Americans. This is a big frigging day. And everybody in the world is thinking differently than they were just a few days ago.
Un clan de pedófilos quiere acabar la democracia en Colombia. Duro, sí, pero ahí está la realidad. Y para que no salga la lista, entonces nos envían acorazados a matar pescadores de esta ciudad. Y amenazar al vecino, que si dictador o no, ¿Cómo que el pueblo de Colombia va a aplaudir que invadan a su hermano, que no es el presidente, sino el pueblo de Venezuela? ¿Cuándo? Seríamos así de traidores y de vendidos, de que nuestra propia sangre la traicionamos, o el pueblo del Ecuador, o el pueblo de Panamá, o el pueblo de Venezuela no es nuestro propio pueblo. Entonces quieren que el presidente haga lo que quería hacer Duque, cobarde, prestar las tierras de Colombia para que desde ahí se invadiera a un país hermano que tiene la misma historia que nosotros, porque allá nació Bolívar y vino a morir aquí, en esta ciudad. No se puede. Presidente de Colombia que haga eso, presidente maldito por las generaciones futuras, porque nunca será olvidado como un traidor. Y yo no pertenezco a los que querían matar a Bolívar. El gobierno de Venezuela ha hecho muchas críticas, pero no me burlo del pueblo de Venezuela, ni construyo una trampa para que caiga el pueblo de Venezuela en la trampa de una invasión que solo va por su petróleo. Que se quiere es codicia y violencia más para hacer de esta esquina hermosa del continente suramericano una Siria, un Irak, una Libia llena de esclavos, de venta de esclavos, de nuevo negros. No. La lista de los amigos de Epstein, que no quiere que aparezca la lista en los Estados Unidos, nos quiere utilizar aquí con la violencia para que el pueblo de los Estados Unidos no piense en su propio gobierno, sino que se les suba la xenofobia, el racismo, las ideas de la raza superior y otras ideas falsas, y nos usan para no discutir sus propios problemas.
Don't let anybody control us. And we can't control ourselves either. But we have to manage our emotion and our feelings. Once we be able to manage it, we'll be free of suffering. So we walk to bring you that message and that key to unlock those boxes that you have been locked up, those peace and happiness within you, and you forgot it somewhere. Now use those keys, mindfulness, and unlock it. Freedom, peace, and happiness, so that your family will have peace. Don't worry about the world. Worry about ourselves and our family first. Each and every family can do the same. The world will be at peace. Don't try to change anybody, and don't try to change the world. While we are not be able to change ourselves and our family, then there's no way we can change the world.
While we are not be able to change ourselves and our family, then there's no way we can change the world.
Mr. President, Colombian President Gustavo Petro, a couple weeks ago, he said he's got to watch his ass. And today he said he's not concerned about anything happening to him in the aftermath of this operation. So just what your message is
well,
about
he
that.
has cocaine mills. He has factories where he makes cocaine. And yeah, I think I stick by my first statement. He's making cocaine. They're sending it into the United States. So he does have to watch his ass.
Nicolas Maduro had his chance, just like Iran had their chance. Until they didn't, and until he didn't. He effed around, and he found out.
Because when the oil barons go in, who the fuck do you think is going to handle their security? You think private security is going to be there? Please. Trump's going to want to make a fucking show of it. And since there aren't going to be enough military, we don't have the manpower to fucking fully secure that country. And our allies aren't going to come help us, since this was an act of war, in violation of international laws, as well as the United States fucking Constitution. Who do you think is going to be needed to protect these people? What, they're going to send ICE? Yeah, okay. They're going to start sending soldiers and Marines to guard these people. These big oil barons. They're going to use them. What happens then? The Venezuelan people will rebel. just like they did in Iraq. By the way, how did regime change go in that country? As I said, for y'all, a hard head makes a soft ass. Where the fuck was the outrage then? For you all. Where was this no new war shit back then when you were shaking the pom-poms of Bush? Oh, and by the way, fun fact. The difference between this war and the other war of choice in Iraq in 2003, Congress approved that war. Congress was not even in session when this shit happened. Mike Johnson runs like a bitch.
The real reason the United States moved on Venezuela has nothing to do with drugs, terrorism, or democracy. Before you convince yourself that Trump wants to truly see Venezuela made great again, you need to really understand that it's about the survival of the US dollar. Venezuela holds 303 billion barrels of oil. It's the largest proven reserves on Earth, more than Saudi Arabia, and roughly 20% of global supply. The real issue is that Venezuela stopped selling oil in US dollars. They began accepting the Chinese yuan, euros, and rubles. They announced that they were freeing themselves from the dollar. That's essentially a decree or declaration of economic war against the United States. They built payment channels with China that totally bypass SWIFT entirely. A country with that much oil abandoning the dollar isn't symbolic, it is a threat, and that is why the United States decided to eliminate that threat.
Investigating multiple shootings today that left 3 people injured. So far, no one is under arrest for any of the shootings, which span from Soto to North Seattle. KOMO's Tyler Cunnington brings us the latest from police.
Seattle police are now investigating 3 different shootings that all happened in the early morning hours dotted across the city of Seattle, including one right here within Soto. They all mark the first bouts of violence in this new year of 2026. Seattle police say within just a few hours of one another, they spoke to 3 victims of gunfire in North and South Seattle. The first incident came at the Mount Baker bus transit station around midnight when a 38-year-old man said he heard gunfire before realizing he was in pain and had been shot twice in his left leg. Police have since requested video from the transit station. Next, around 5:15 a.m., officers responded to reports of gunfire near North 128th Street and Aurora Avenue North. It's there they learned a 29-year-old woman had been speaking to a potential customer on Aurora when she heard an argument followed by gunfire. It was while running away she was shot in the leg. Officers found multiple shell casings and relevant video through their real-time crime center. And lastly, a 26-year-old man who was found at Harborview Medical Center told officers he'd been attacked and then shot twice from behind while running from a hookah lounge in Soto. Police say the man had just moved to the city from Arizona and was not being cooperative with detectives. Now, if you have any information that might help in those investigations at those various scenes, you are encouraged to contact Seattle Police, or as always, you can go anonymously through Crime Stoppers.
Ultimately, all radical Islamic movements in the world identify the West writ large, but the United States in particular, as the greatest evil on the earth. And every chance they have, the notion that somehow radical Islam would be comfortable with simply controlling some province in Iraq or Syria is just not borne out by history. Radical Islam has shown that their desire is not simply to occupy one part of the world and be happy with their own little caliphate. They want to expand. It's revolutionary in its nature. It seeks to expand and control more territories and more people. And radical Islam has designs openly on the West. On the United States, on Europe, we've seen that progress there as well. And they are prepared to conduct acts of terrorism. In the case of Iran, nation-state actions, assassinations, murders, you name it, whatever it takes for them to gain their influence and ultimately their domination of different cultures and societies. That's a clear and imminent threat to the world and to the broader West, but especially to the United States, who they identify as the chief source of evil on the planet. Okay, the reason why they hate the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, the leadership of the UAE, of Bahrain, is because they've allowed the United States to partner with them. That's why they hate them. They consider them infidels for it. They hate Israel. But they also hate America. And they hate anywhere in the world that we have influence, they seek to attack it, including here in the homeland. If you look at the domestic terrorists, at the attacks that have happened here domestically, the overwhelming majority of them have been inspired by radical Islamic viewpoints. And that includes the shooting in the Pulse nightclub in Orlando, Florida. That includes the Saudi pilot in Pensacola, my home state, 2 attacks.
I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office of the mayor of the city of New York.
Of the office of the mayor of the city of New York.
Sworn in by Vermont Senator and fellow Democratic Socialist Bernie Sanders on the steps of City Hall, Zohran Mamdani, the rapper turned Queens Assemblyman, is now mayor of New York City. He's the first Muslim mayor, an immigrant mayor, and at 34 years old, the youngest mayor in generations.
Where else could a Muslim kid like me grow up eating bagels and lox every Sunday?
For a man who barnstormed into office on the back of big promises like free buses, universal childcare, and rent freezes, Mamdani, a generationally talented orator, did not plead for patience with those pledges.
The only expectation I seek to reset is that of small expectations. Beginning today, we will govern expansively and audaciously.
Then he explicitly doubled down.
We will deliver universal child care for the many by taxing the wealthiest few. We will freeze the rent. We will make those buses fast and free.
A child is dead and 2 others are in critical condition after flames engulfed the Woodley Terrace apartment complex in Montgomery. Good evening and welcome to WSFA 12 News at 10. I'm Nai Remy. Now, the child who died is an 8-year-old boy. Another child and a man is in critical condition. WSFA 12 News reporter Emma Ellis spoke with the residents following the fire.
Woodley Terrace resident Jabrandon Solomon was headed to the store when he noticed the fire.
I seen the smoke, but I thought it was the rent office at first. So I was like, well, I guess it's the rent office up on fire. So I made it halfway down, and it wasn't the rent office. It was a whole building.
Solomon ran back into the building to try to save as many people as he could.
When you was dragging people out, they were asleep. Yeah. You did that.
I ran all the way from the back to the front for to go and save the folks. And I was knocking on the doors and dragging folks out and stuff. And I tried to go get the churn, but my jacket had caught up on fire. And hey, that's the end result of that. I tried to save everybody.
Residents tell me the fire alarms failed to go off. And if it weren't for Solomon, they believe more fatalities would have happened.
We have to look at the condition of these apartment complexes. Most of them are owned by out-of-town people, and they're not here to be with the residents. So they're not here to make sure that they find somewhere to stay for the holidays. It's right before Christmas.
This isn't a new initiative for Mitchell.
This is what we've been dealing with for the last 5 years. People say, why do I go so hard about the conditions of these apartment complexes? And you see the end result. That's why I try to make sure that the lighting, metal detector, fire detectors are working because that saves lives.
So I ran all the way from the back to the front for to go and save the folks. And I was knocking on the doors and dragging folks out and stuff. I tried to go get the churn, but my jacket had caught up on fire. And hey, if I had something else better than this little jacket, I would have got them. I wouldn't care about the fire. I would have just had to get burnt. But I had to go get them churn. That's the only thing eat me up, is I couldn't get them churn. That's the only thing. All the way at the back. And everybody was still asleep. I was the only one up. Knocked on everybody's door, whooped everybody, got them out, dragged them. I gotta go and apologize to the old lady because I messed around and pushed her, trying to get her out of the fire because she was trying to go back in to get her phone. If I had a real jacket, I would have went up in there and got them turned. Like, that serious. I would have risked my life.
You did risk your life.
I would have went in there. I couldn't. The fire was so hot. Like, it was too hot. I was thinking about getting the folks out of there. I wasn't thinking about it. Like, if anything would have happened to me, God knows why it happened to me. I was trying to save lives. Like, I ain't go in there for the bullshit. I went in there for to save these folks. I was the only one outside. So, little. I don't wait nothing but 100, wet, trying to go get folks out of a house fire. Like, that's serious. I got at least about, 14? Yeah, I got about 14 now. That's all I could have did.
While we are not be able to change ourselves and our family, then there's no way we can change the world. So please keep in mind, today is going to be my peaceful day, and be mindful with it. Can we all do that? Yes. So you will walk with us to Washington, D.C., right? Yes. In spirit. Okay? In spirit. But you have to practice. No one can bring peace and happiness to our life except us. each and every breath is very important for our life. We breathe in without breathing out, we die. And we don't want to die that way. We want to rest in peace. Without having peace in our daily life, there's no way we can rest in peace. Remember that.
Having peace in our daily life, there's no way we can rest in peace. Remember that.
U.S. military was behind multiple strikes this week at a docking area believed to have been used by Venezuelan drug cartels. It was the first known direct operation on Venezuelan soil since the U.S. began strikes in September. Yesterday, Venezuela said it was open to negotiating an agreement with the U.S. to combat drug trafficking. And this morning, we did have a chance to speak to a former federal Venezuelan judge who says he was forced to flee after political pressure and death threats.
I want to see my home country as a country with so many opportunities. Sorry. Venezuela is a great country. Venezuelans are great people. We have a rich country who was taken by those criminals since 2000 when Hugo Chavez won the election. And then we need peace in Venezuela.
Yes, Olivia, they're getting emotional as he was talking to us this morning. He tells me he wants to see his people live healthier lives and have the opportunity to be free. It's unclear who is currently running Venezuela. Federal prosecutors in New York say Maduro was working with a Colombian rebel group to flood the United States with cocaine and undermine the nation's health and well-being.
Finally, a commander-in-chief the world respects and the American people deserve.
The world knows what the United States did to Venezuela is an act of war. It's an act of aggression. It's a serious violation of the international law and a complete violation of the United Nations Charter. It's a complete violation of the sovereignty and the territorial integrity of Venezuela as a sovereign country. In that sense, you also need to ask, what exactly is the United States about to do? I think what the United States under President Trump really cares about is to plunder the largest oil reserve in Venezuela and try to dominate above the people of Venezuela and try to subjugate the country of Venezuela to the dominance of the United States. Now, this is really not the bright spot of the United States. And this is really calling back for the rule of the jungle. This is the powerful country dominating above weaker nations. And I don't think this will reflect well on the United States as a leading country in the world.
Professor, President Trump authorized this attack without congressional approval. What legal and political challenges could he face domestically?
Well, I think it depends on what will evolve in the coming few days and weeks. I suspect that the people in Venezuela and in South America, as well as throughout Latin America, and possibly also in other countries, including in the Caribbean and elsewhere in the world, will rise up in indignation and condemn what the United States did in violation of the sovereignty and territorial integrity of Venezuela. It also very much depends on what eventually domestically will evolve in the coming few days and weeks in Venezuela, and how the United Nations Security Council, which has been requested by the Foreign Ministry of Venezuela for an immediate consultation about what the United States did to Venezuela on local time, January the 3rd. So I think a lot is in the air right now. And for the people in the United States, I don't think they will take actions firmly against what President Trump and his government did to Venezuela, because they were told that the action was based on the fight against drug, for example, exported by Venezuela to the United States. And the United States actually has failed to come up with any firm indication or evidence incriminating President Maduro himself or the Venezuelan government, etc. It reminds people of many things the United States had done over the past decades or even past.
Pretty sure in the Constitution, Article 1, Section 8, Clause 11, says that Congress, not the president, shall declare war. And I also believe in that same clause, especially as it pertains to the War Powers Act of 73, right? The president can conduct limited strikes. However, it has to be where a country, military forces need to be repelled from the United States. Last time I checked, I'm looking around, I don't see any Venezuelan soldiers around here. No. Clear violation of the fucking law. Oh, y'all about law and order, right? See, the reason why I'm blowing y'all up like this is because you're full of shit. That's why.
Deputy Attorney General says DOJ lawyers are working around the clock, even on New Year's, to review the Epstein files before they're released. The Justice Department is scrambling to review roughly 5.2 million documents related to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, according to a source familiar with the operation. That's a number much higher than previously known. Two sources familiar with the plan tell NBC News the DOJ is trying to enlist about 400 employees for the effort, which is expected to run until January 20th. That's a month after the deadline set by a bipartisan law Congress passed to release all Epstein files. Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche posting required redactions to protect victims take time, but they will not stop these materials from being released. The DOJ has already publicly released tens of thousands of documents. President Trump, who's never been accused of wrongdoing related to Epstein, has long said he cut off contact with his one-time friend in the early 2000s.
He stole people that worked for me. I said, don't ever do that again. He did it again, and I threw him out of the place, persona non grata.
Now, the Wall Street Journal, citing former Mar-a-Lago and Epstein employees, is reporting on an incident it says led Trump to ban Epstein from his Mar-a-Lago spa. According to the Journal, in 2003, an 18-year-old beautician returned to the club from a house call to Epstein and reported to managers that he had pressured her for sex. When a manager sent a fax to Trump relaying the allegations, the Journal writes, Trump told the manager it was a good letter and said to kick him out. Police and former employees told the Journal the incident was not reported to Palm Beach police. The White House calling the reporting fallacies and innuendo, adding no matter how many times the story is told and retold, the truth remains. President Trump did nothing wrong, and he kicked Jeffrey Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago for being a creep. Last week, the Senate's top Democrat, Chuck Schumer, introduced a resolution that would direct the Senate to initiate legal action against the DOJ for not releasing the full Epstein files by the deadline. Congress is set to be back in session next week.
Negative impact of population growth on all of our planetary ecosystems is becoming appallingly evident. The rapid growing exploitation of the world's supply of energy and water is a matter of deep concern, and the toxic byproducts of widespread industrialization have increased atmospheric pollution to dangerous levels. Unless nations will agree to work together to tackle these cross-border challenges posed by population growth, overconsumption of resources, and environmental degradation, the prospects for a decent life on our planet will be threatened. The recent UN meeting in Cairo is appropriately focused on one of these key issues, population growth. But the controversies which have erupted at the conference illustrate the problem of coming to grips with issues that are deeply divisive and which have a profound moral dimension. The United Nations can and should play an essential role in helping the world find a satisfactory way of stabilizing world population and stimulating economic development in a manner that is sensitive to religious and moral considerations. Economic growth is, of course, an inevitable corollary of a growing population and is essential to improved standards of living. But without careful coordination, unrestrained economic growth poses further threats to our environment. This was a major subject of discussion at the conference in Rio de Janeiro on the environment 2 years ago. The focus then was on sustainable growth and global development. It was pointed out at the conference that growth is most efficiently managed by the private sector, but regulation of the process by national governments and international bodies is also needed. And once again, the United Nations should certainly be among the catalysts and coordinators of this process.
This is an extraordinary story. So he was born in a place called the Judengasse, which was a Jewish ghetto, basically. And it was the house that he lived in when he eventually had 13 children was only 14 feet wide. And he lived there with his very, very overpowering and dominant and an incredibly brilliant wife who was called Guttel. He was determined to get out of this ghetto. At night time, the ghetto was closed. You weren't allowed to leave. The street was so narrow that no sunlight could penetrate. There was no plumbing, there was no sewage, there was nothing. So everything you can imagine happened in this street. And unsurprisingly, he wanted to get out of there. And he started a small coin business, and that did reasonably well. But actually, and this is where it ties into legacy, his great strength was to send his 5 sons to the capitals of Europe at that time. And what they did is they set up, in effect, the first international banking system. So whereas everyone used to be in separate different countries or separate cities until then, these 5 boys communicated with each other, sometimes by pigeon, and they wrote to each other in Judendeutsche, which was a kind of Yiddish German vernacular. And that is why they were so successful. And this absolute belief in togetherness, you've got to stand together, you've got to work together, you've got to work across borders, you've got to work with rules. And by 1789, when the last one went, to 1815, so a very, very short period of time, it was said that no government or king would consider going to war without the Rothschilds supporting them, because that was how incredibly influential and powerful they had become.
Not releasing the Epstein files. Fuck Marjorie Taylor Greene. I don't care what you do. Start a fucking war. Just don't let him get out. If I go down, I will bring all of you down. Fucking war. Just don't let him get out. If I go down, I will bring all of you down.
This motherfucker continues to want to put his fucking name on everything. Now there's fucking battleships. Don't worry, motherfucker. This country will never fucking forget you. But it won't be for the fucking reasons that you think you can put your fucking name on anything. Kennedy Center, whatever. It ain't gonna matter. History has a special fucking spot reserved for you. And it's all fucking bad. Because you will be, undisputedly, the worst fucking president ever.
Without having peace in our daily life, there's no way we can rest in peace. Remember that. And when we say I love you to somebody, please remember with intention and true love, loving kindness, not just saying. A lot of us just saying I love you, and I love you. But it doesn't mean anything because in here, it doesn't have it. We repeated the habit. We've been saying that for too long. without the intention, the truth intention. That's just the habit. We repeat it over and over. Just like the horse keep going around the circle, the same path over and over. We don't want to run and step on that same path over and over for the rest of our life. And the last thing, please don't waste our energies to react to any of the problems around us.